Match day 3. Megan Warner is in the house after finishing college, probably for the last time, maybe?
Yes, everybody would like to think so. Dr. Megan does have a nice ring, but I'm going to take a break for now.
Awesome. Break is always good. But hey, welcome back and good morning to all of you. It is the UWS Kickoff Show presented by 11 Select, Duke Tig, VO, NL Tactical Boards, Impact Canopy, and Fearless and Capable. Check all of our awesome partners out today. Get some cool swag. Let us know what you think. There's some good stuff out there. But Megan, welcome back. Hope all has been well. You took some time after graduation to visit. Your parents were across here hanging out. You guys got some good times in?
Yes, we did. Disney, Kennedy Space Center, pool days. We went to a honky tonk. I just wanted to give them the full American experience because I hadn't been to America for like 2 years because of the pandemic. So it was so lovely to have them back. Had the best time, and now I'm ready for the summer of soccer. It's great to be back.
Awesome. And also join us this morning. Katie is in the house. Katie, how's it going? Uh-oh. You got your mic off.
Ooh.
Technical difficulty already. Uh-oh. 3, 2, 1. 2 seconds.
Go. All right.
There we go.
Just like that. It's going to be okay, all right? It's going to be okay. It's going to be a good Saturday.
It is. Saturdays are always fun. We got UWS action. Katie, how are you? How's the week been?
I'm good. It's been kind of interesting here in Texas. You know, a lot of crazy things have happened over the past week. But other than that, I mean, I've got my coffee and I'm moving right along. So
caffeinated and ready to go.
Yes, that's right.
Well, hey, let's get started. Let's talk a little bit. Last week we talked NIL. We talked some informational pieces related to that, and this week no big news like that. That kind of hit the market. Lyon won the Women's Champions League against Barcelona, which was kind of a disappointment. I'm not going to say that I didn't want to see Lyon win, but it was definitely a disappointment in that. Barcelona had an interesting streak. They were undefeated. Mm-hmm. And so that would have been kind of cool. I know a lot of people in America kind of would understand it this way. Think of the New England Patriots going to the Super Bowl and losing to the Giants. That's what I think of every time. So it's been a little crazy, but that would have been kind of cool. I thought that match was well played. Watched every minute of it with my daughter and my son. They were actually into it. My son threw popcorn at the TV once it ended, so that was kind of cool.
I love that.
Hey, you gotta have it. And then today we've got Liverpool versus the other team, Real Madrid, just by players. What do you guys got today?
Gotta keep it English. I'm going for Liverpool.
Ooh.
Yeah. I would agree. Liverpool for me. I think a single point differential, possibly 3-2. That's what I'm seeing. Keep things interesting. That's my guess right now.
All right, well, we'll go with it. So, hey, listen, last week we'd made a prediction of 50. I made the prediction we were going to see 50 goals scored, and guess what? We saw 50 goals. Over 50. So I was right on the prediction, but I'm not going to. Huh?
Okay.
I said we had. I was saying last week we were going to see 50 goals scored cumulatively throughout the league, and pretty much in one match, Mustangs and RBFC Elite 17.
That's what I was just looking up. Yeah. Is 17 goals, right?
That one broke my heart a little bit. Like, I don't know. That that's a tough scoreline. You know, like when you see the 5-0s, you're like, okay, like that team, like they dominated. But when it gets up to 17, like that one is just like, yikes. Like, I don't like to see that. I mean, I really hope that they're able to come back from it. But I'm looking at teams like Muskegon this year, who last year was sort of in that similar boat, opening up the season with those big score lines. They were able to get, I want to say maybe it was DCFC that they played, and it was like a really close game. But other than that, they did struggle during the season, and they've kind of came out the same way again this year, which also is breaking my heart. And those big scorelines, they just don't sit right with me. The UWS is a very, very competitive league, and sometimes it's tough for those newer teams to adjust to it because maybe you don't quite realize how much quality and how much talent we have here. Mustangs going out with 17 is, yikes.
It also brings up the topic of, do you just keep scoring, or do you, hold back a bit? And pretty much, every big team will say you keep scoring because, that's what you owe them. You don't owe, it's almost more of a disservice to take it easy on somebody. But here's my thing is there's a lot of things you can do as a team before you score. And a lot of those teams will do that once they've hit like the 6, 7, 8-0 mark. They'll start, everyone on the team has to touch it before you score, or you can only one touch the entire time, or something that's gonna help build a team that is winning, right? Because like I think when I see a 17-0 score, I'm wondering, is that just running up the score in general, or like were
Right.
you guys taking the time to use that as an opportunity to maybe work a little bit more on structure or strategy, or maybe change formation, or so of course I didn't see that game, but I do question 17-0. Was it did RBFC just kind of, like, do they just it sounds like they kind of just gave up, and it's a hard team to play against, when you're in that situation. And so I don't know. Like I said, I didn't see the game, but that's a lot of goals.
I think one of
Yeah.
the things that you need to be cognizant of is you looking at this goal differential plays a huge role in the league and where you sit. So if you have this
Right.
goal differential and you're scoring goals, well, who else is more likely to be a competitor of yours and do the same? Now, I'm not saying that this
Right.
this is something that it's the ongoing thing in soccer. No matter what, we'll always say goal differential is huge. Even
At the end of the
in
day. Mhm.
yeah, at the end of the day, even in our U9, it's goal differential. And
Right.
we had our tryouts yesterday for our team here in Sacramento, and it was interesting because even girls were asking, "Hey, is goal differential a thing?" And it's like, yeah, unfortunately, goal differential, like when we play, it's a matter of how well we play, and if we score, we keep scoring. It's the other team's job to stop it. I guess that's the way to look at it as a coach. Is if you can't stop it, that's not my fault. But as a player on the other side and the coach on the other side, like, at what time do you throw in a towel and say, hey, this has got to stop, or have a conversation with the coach, be like, hey, can you draw back a little bit? And maybe it is a conversation with the coach during the match. Who knows?
Yeah,
Right. Yeah,
it's a really
it's a
hard
tough one
one.
to
I feel
say.
like at this level, it's really difficult to know because it's not grassroots anymore. It's not like, okay, like if we score 9 goals, like game's done, or like, hey coach, like let's take it easy. Or even like a coach to be like, right guys, like you have to do 7 passes before you can score. I mean, 7 is probably super easy for the Mustangs, but whatever. Like it's sort of like, do we do that at this point? I mean, the US national team in the World Cup, I can't remember who they were playing. I want to say it was like Thailand, maybe, or something. It was a smaller country,
Right.
and they didn't hold back, and so it kind of gets to the point in adult soccer where we don't know whether those conversations are to be had. But like you say, like Mustangs only beat St. Louis Scott Gallagher by 1 goal. So when they were going into this RBFC elite, they were probably thinking like, this league is tough. We just had to grind out a tough win. Now we need to go out there, make our mark. And so there's a lot of other things that contribute into the tactical side of the game.
I think when
Right.
you look
Right.
at,
Go ahead.
oh, I got you.
Well, I was just gonna say, whenever you were mentioning the U.S. Women's National Team, that's exactly what popped into my head when I saw the score up or not, and that's something that I don't remember who it was who said it, but they had pretty much said something along the lines of it would be a disservice to the other team to stop scoring, and that's why they kept running it up. And so I think again, it just kind of brings it up, like there are so many other things that the winning team can do, and it's also something that you saw happen with the US national team. They did start actually, putting harder requirements on goal scoring. Like you have to have, a single touch, or, like this amount of possession has to occur, and it has to be off a cross, or it has to be, like that's what they started doing. And yeah, they ran up the score, but they were also being really productive for themselves in the meantime, other than just running up the score in general, right? Because they could have been even more. There could have been even more goals if they had really just played the way that they typically play. So yeah, it's just a tough one.
I think of it in this way. It could be that it's the first year, your first game, your first year in UWS. You don't know what to expect. We talked about this on week one. This is your very first match. How do you prepare for essentially the unknown, right? You don't know the talent level, or you haven't played against some of those players because they play in a different conference or different region of collegiate soccer, or you don't get to see them. But as I look through kind of the score lines and I look at the goal differential, okay, FC Birmingham, new club. Mm-hmm. You've got Worcester, who last year was their first year, and they're just kind of now getting it synced. Paisley, who's a -1, and this is their first year playing in UWS 1. RBE, Illinois Premier, both first year. Arkansas Comets, Muskegon, who was here last year, and then Michigan Jaguars. You're seeing kind of those goal differentials from those new teams. Now, at what point, what match day do they actually turn that corner and start to realize, oh, hey, this is a lot different than we anticipated? I'm not a coach in the league. I don't, but I can only imagine you just don't know. How do you prepare for the unknown at this point in this entity? So talking to you guys, you both played in the league and you both had a year one. How do you prepare for the unknown?
I think, I think so much of your trust lies in your coach and the strategy that they have and the things that they know about these other players. Because as somebody who was a player for many, many years, I can assure you that I did not really start researching other teams, or I really could care less what they were actually doing. All I cared about was getting on the field and doing my best. And I kind of relied on my coaches and coaching staff quite a bit to kind of give me the 411 on who we were up against, what strikers to look for, right? And maybe that's not super mature of me, but of course, that's just how I operated back in the day. Now I wish I hadn't. I wish I had, learned, done my own due diligence, because I have found just through on the reporting side, you can really learn a lot about somebody just by watching a game or two, or, even tuning into other, news resources or articles. And so with that being said, I still do believe there's a lot that you have to rely on the coach and their strategy moving forward. And you have to have trust that they put the right players in the right place as well. And that they're the best players for the job, right? I mean, it's hard when you're jumping leagues. And especially if, I have not taken the time to see, where these girls, if they've played college or not. I have not taken the time to see if they were a full 11 or if they were playing down players. I just saw it was a high score and thought, ouch, but there are a lot of things you can look into there. And when I think about a team coming in and getting beat to that degree, it says a lot to me psychologically that also there was probably a huge psychological breakdown, rightfully so. I mean, when you run it up that much, it's hard to just keep trying even. And so there's a lot that could be at hand here that I don't know because I didn't watch the game. But I think as anybody moving forward, like I said, the coach strategy, knowing that you have the right players in place. And it does bring up also the question for me of requirements to get in the league. I mean, I think it's mostly I think pretty much anybody can join, and then you find out when you get here, right, that it's highly competitive. And so I think that might be one of those situations where this just might be a tough season for them, right? Until they find some right players to be in the right places. Maybe they need to shift some things around, because 17-0 to me just it's a big loss, and I don't want to put anybody down either. Anybody can come back from anything, right? Maybe they're missing some of their key players. Maybe it's a summer league, right? So it's hard to find those super dedicated players at times. So yeah, I don't know.
Megan?
Yeah, I think
kind of veered off your question.
You kind of raise an interesting point though about these new teams. How do they attract the new players when maybe they're Unity, for example, it's just Unity. There's no academy, there's no men's Unity, it's just Unity. So if you haven't heard of it before, then how do you get these big players to come to that club? because they haven't got that already in place. Whereas we see somebody like Erie up in the East Conference who has a large men's club, like soccer is really big in Buffalo. So like in that area, in those counties, that team is very well known. So it's much easier for them to attract. And maybe that's part of the reason why we've seen Erie come into the UWS in their debut season and be a lot more competitive compared to some of these other teams who some of them do. They don't get me wrong, like they have really big names, but how do you get players to come and trust you in your first year? Whereas somebody like Mustangs, who had a really good last year, they also have some really, really good players. You've got Mallory Olsen, Nina Niscosa. Like so, these are some really good players who I'm expecting to see at the pro level in the next few years. Yeah. How do you get those players? And that's a question that every team's going to be asking. And what facilities and resources do you have leading up to the season? Because again, with those newer teams, they might be thinking this is a summer league. We'll start a preparation in March. Well, that's probably a bit too late. And maybe that's what some of these teams are realizing. I don't know when they did start their tryouts and stuff. But the earlier you start, UWS is working year round to put this league together. It's definitely not just May to July and then we're done. Right. It's a year round thing. And a lot of teams might be finding that out right now too.
Do you think maybe perhaps we can think of preparation starting the May, June before?
Yeah, exactly. And I think the UWS are just adding in this UWS 2 promotion into UWS, which is something that Katie touched on, is really going to probably help. And maybe that will kind of teach teams that UWS 2 is somewhere to start. And maybe it's better if we kind of take away the UWS 2 being just the reserves or just the younger teams, and it being more of a start point for those newer teams to then get that promotion. And so when we come into the UWS, it's all really competitive games, because really that's going to help the league to grow, attract more fans. I don't think many people are going to want to sit through those large scoreline games. When we can get competitive games, that's when we get even more people watching.
Well, I'll
100% agreed. I was just going to say, the UWS is a really hard place to build a team. Like, it's really not the place to go to for your first year, right? And there's so much required just to have a really successful team. A lot of it is money, right? But the Athenians, they had been around for 5 years before they even ended up in the UWS, right? So they had plenty of time to build and grow and figure out what worked both organizationally and for players, how to network, they took time to build their network to really get those awesome players that have come through so far. And so 100% solid point there, Megan.
I think one of the things with UWS too, which is great, is that you can bring in clubs and you can get them acclimated to the travel. You can get them acclimated to kind of the degree of competition. So even here in NorCal, we just added Reno, which is about an hour and a half up the hill. Against us, we've got San Leandro, which is an hour and a half in the Bay. We've got Redwood City with Bay Cities FC. So you get those competition levels, but it also allows these little pockets, right, to kind of get themselves acclimated to the level or even build upon it. Megan, you play in UWS 2 with Unity, but you also play against teams who could be UWS 1 teams in Jacksonville, right? So if you think about, go ahead.
Yeah, when it comes to the Florida League, it's more location-wise, some of these teams like Jacksonville just can't get all the way to Alabama to play. And so for them, it just works better to be in UWS 2. The same thing with Unity. I think the goal for Unity would be to be on UWS 1, but it's not at that point yet, both structurally and financially and all that stuff. And so the UWS 2 in the Sunshine State is very much extremely competitive. And Jacksonville, I would love to see them have a game against Pensacola. That's not too far of a distance. Maybe they can meet halfway and put something on for us.
I also believe that Florida soccer just pumps out really great soccer, right? Just like Florida, California, New York, Texas. I think UWS 2 is very different in Florida than it might be in another state. So 100%. And you can see it in the way that, the score lines and things. And so, Yeah, just wanted to add that 2 cents.
Well, hey, let's we had matches this past week. Let's get into some of those matches. Let's see. Oh, ARFC is on board. Definitely networking and former players. A coach is a big help. So Mike talking about having players who have been in his system, who know who he is. The question is, Mike, if this does work out to where you could be in UWS, one, is it something that is going to be sustainable against teams like Santa Clarita Blue Heat and the two Canadian entities? That's a different question to have on a different day. Ooh. So yes, we had soccer again, match day 2. Lots going on. We talked about the 50 goals or more. We had that. What matches, Katie, Megan? What matches had you guys on the edge of your seat or wanting to talk about today? We'll start with Katie.
Okay. Yeah, so KC Courage just went up against Gretna Elite and they won that game 3-1. And again, this is another interesting scoreline where it might seem like KC Courage really dominated, but the only real part of the game that they dominated was the first half, maybe the first half of the first half, and everything else following that was really very, very physical. I mean, a lot of fouls. In fact, the first goal was a breakaway as a result of a turnover in the attacking third. It was just a really great it wasn't even a tackle, just a really great step right into the feet of Emily Key, and she was able to, of Carly Klassen. And so she was able to get that in the bottom corner of the net. And then they had a foul in the box shortly after that towards the end of the second half. So they got a PK there, which brought KC Courage up, 2-0. And then Gretna came back. They got their third goal, and it was so good. It was a really nice cross from their outside winger into the center striker's feet. And again, just really solid goal. So yeah, no, it was really good. And then moving into the second half, that's where the game really picked up. That's where the KC Courage defense really had to step up because Gretna was on their side of the field quite a bit, but it was really an evenly matched game in the second half, if you want my opinion. Yeah, then the center back went in for a challenge. The center back won a challenge, and then the center striker got it. She brought it to the outside, passed it right into Carly Klassen's feet, and boom, goal in the very, very last bit of the game. So ended up being a 3-1 game, and we had Nina Norshi, who is a solid defender for KC Courage. She walked away as player of the match by Fearless and Capable. So Fearless and Capable is apparently a an organization for sports psychology, and that's one of their sponsors for the team. So I thought that was really cool that they have that sponsor. Yeah, there you go. Fearless and Capable. Yeah, there you go. And so that she was the Fearless and Capable player of the match. And so just wanted to give her also a special shout out. But it was a good game to watch. Yeah, there was just a lot of physicality happening, a lot of great building out of the back. It was a good game.
Yeah, it was. I went back and watched it again, and just the way that they're playing, the physicality of Courage. Yes, you're going to win some games based on physicality, but when you hit skill, you have that too. So they can play both sides of the game. They play with a little bit of flair, but they also play that physical side. Their standings wouldn't speak of it in terms of where they sit. They're 2 wins and a loss. I think the one loss was a hard one, but in the end, they're sitting at second in the table in that Heartland division with, again, we talk about goal differential, 2 goal differential, 6 points. They're tied with FC Wichita, who sits on top of the table of the Heartland division. So good conference so far. Lots to get our popcorn ready for, because Gretna is just waking up. So let's make sure we remember that. Megan, what about you? What had you sipping on tea this week?
Well, I was sipping on tea twice because lightning came in and interfered the game that had my attention. So it was Derby Day for FC Buffalo and Erie Commodores on Saturday, and the Lightning said, you guys need to rest a little bit longer and we're going to go again on Tuesday. So it was rescheduled for Tuesday, and boy, did it deliver. It was worth the wait. I was so glad that I was still able to watch it on that Tuesday evening, because yeah, it had everything. It had all the drama. So we'll take it back to the beginning. And Maddie Keister opened up the scoring in the 7th minute with a great left-footed chip strike that hit the post and then went in from like outside the 18. And I was just like, okay, FC Buffalo, I see you. Hit to make a mark. And then in the 33rd minute, FC Buffalo made it 2. Keister again on the end of it. This time it came from a corner kick. Corner came in and Keister headed it home and it was 2-0. And so, everyone was kind of like, okay, Buffalo making a statement here, but, it's a derby day. There's drama. It's gonna happen. So FC Buffalo kind of looking like the stronger team, but right before halftime, like I'm talking the 45+2 in the stoppage time, Erie has a corner of their own that they were able to convert on. So Leah Bermudez scored a goal, making it the first goal for Erie in the UWS. And it was 2-1 at halftime. So really kind of shifting that momentum. And I was like very excited to see how they were going to come out in that second half. Are FC Buffalo going to be really shaken up by that conceding right before halftime? It's one of the worst times to concede. Or are they going to have a really great halftime talk and come out super strong? And FC Buffalo almost didn't let it shake them for the entire second half until right at the end, once again, Leah Bermudez comes up big for Erie. So Bermudez, once again, another header from a corner again. Ball comes into the box. Bermudez leaps up super high, heads it home, makes it 2-2, goes down with a cramp just to add to the drama. Like this girl, she had a great game. She was down for a while because I think I've had it too where like you jump and then both of your calves are just like screaming at you and like to land. And no.
Yeah.
But anyway, she had an epic game and her 2 goals were able to get her side 1 point out of that Derby Day game. And yeah, I loved it. And looking back on it, I mean, yeah, at the time I was just like, yeah, wow. But now looking back, I'm like, okay, this is really interesting. FC Buffalo concede right before halftime. And then again, right at the end of the game. Is that a mental thing? Potentially, both of which were set pieces too. Is maybe that the area where they're susceptible?
Well, we'd also talked about it last year on the Kickoff show about having those 2-goal leads and how dangerous having a 2-goal lead is. It's a psychological thing, right? You're like, oh, we got this. But then the minute a team scores, you go into almost like a panic mode. Now, given you're scoring at the death, and that's kind of one of those, you lightning struck twice. But it's also a mental thing where you give up a goal right before halftime. And it's like, okay, what did we do wrong? Why did we give this up? And it starts to psychologically play with your head, and you are stuck in your own melon because you can't get out of it. And you're picturing, what did I do wrong? Who messed up? Was it a keeper issue? No, in this case, it's just somebody who's better at set pieces, and you just didn't find your mark. Maybe, who knows?
I feel like Go ahead.
Sorry, I just feel like because Buffalo went up the other end and scored they scored their own set piece. Like that, it's not that. Definitely not. I feel like it was almost a lack of concentration in those key moments to where literally just get anything on it, bodies on the line, get it away. And like with that lack of concentration, because like you say, we're up 2 goals or like we're winning, the game's almost done. And those lack of concentration slips can be crucial. I mean, losing out on 2 points that can be key.
I feel like those last 5 to 10 minutes of each half are so important because a lot of people are reaching their brink. They're exhausted. The intensity always picks up. And I think that's where you see a lot of those upsets happen in the final minutes that take us into overtime. It's because everybody's giving their all in those final minutes. And so, I think if you do have a 2-0 lead, like that to me is where I start getting the most anxiety. Even if I'm feeling like, okay, we're good and we're up, I'm like, last 10 minutes, like we're going to have to go hard right now because I know that this other team is going to give their all to get a goal at this moment. So, I think you're right about it being kind of psychological, but also, maybe could it be a fitness thing? Who knows? There's so much that could go into play as well. If players just start getting fatigued, in those last 5 minutes because they're a little bit drained from the rest of the game, and then the intensity picks up at the same time. So, yeah, but at least it makes for an interesting game of soccer nonetheless. I mean, sounds like a great game to watch.
And a great game it was, right? Anytime you get a derby that ends that way,
Right.
I remember back, a couple years ago, ESPN game day, college game day. There was a sign that says, "I just hope both teams have fun." I don't think I don't think anybody has fun with a draw.
No.
It's one of those things where it just burns, right? It's like, oh, the one that got away.
As a neutral, I have a great time.
Yeah. Oh, for a sporting, like as a fan, you're like, yes. But as a player, you're like, dude, we had a 2-0 lead and we gave it up. And that could sit. That could be one thing that determines the course of the season for Buffalo. Either they win out or they hit some bumps and they give up goals late. Let's see what happens with them as we go forward. My match was, hey, look, newcomer, the first team promoted to League One, Coppermine United and New Jersey Copa FC. I expected this game to go one way, and that was in favor of New Jersey Copa FC. I underestimated what Coppermine has, and Coppermine has a team. Coach Val has done a very good job of pulling in players, and if you look at the way this game went, look, this was a 9-save effort from Maddie Smith, who just came in, nerves of steel, able to secure a clean sheet. The only goal comes from Hannah Hoffs, who finished an assist in the 39th minute, and then the rest of the way was just defense and brute mentality. Coppermine, a very physical team. I thought they were very much about, hey, if you go into a challenge, you're gonna win that 50-50 every single time. They didn't stab. They were very very composed on the ball, and even when there was counters and opportunities, they were doing their job to keep themselves going. So good for Coppermine to get that 1-0 win over New Jersey Copa, because again, Copa is one of those teams that they have the potential to be in that national championship conversation, but it's going to take them a little bit more after that 1-0 defeat to get there. But thoughts on, did anybody else get to witness that game? Or
I didn't watch that game, but it sounds like it was a really good game. I really like that Coppermine just kept it simple, just did what they needed to do. And I think like a lot of teams can learn from that when it comes to entering the UWS like regular season for that first time, of what you need to do. Like be really strong, be really competitive, have a solid back line, and just keep it simple. And then when you can get that goal, I didn't see the goal by Hannah Hoffs, but in the 39th minute to score, it's a great time to just go ahead, go into the halftime with a positive team talk, and then, go out and finish the business in the second half.
I love to see a good success story of a first season team in UWS one. I think that's great. And as you'd mentioned, Megan, they built themselves up before they even made their way into the UWS one. And I do attribute a lot of that to UWS too. And kind of like we had mentioned with the high scoring game we shall not speak of. Maybe there's some notes that can be taken there. It's a huge jump just to come right into this without having all your ducks in a row. And so all we can do is see what happens moving forward, see what's an anomaly and what isn't, right?
absolutely, and anytime you get it, that's just the way to go. Any other matches that caught your eye, Katie, that you wanted to speak on for week or match day 2?
Yeah, I mean, FC or not FC Austin Elite, but the Athenians just beat Wilco FC 3-0, and out of a hat trick in the first half from Enzi Broussard, which I thought was really awesome. All really quality goals. First one was just she managed to get in the box, and that's something that I'm seeing with her is a lot of her shots are, you just can't give her a lot of time. And I think that's what happened with Wilco. They just gave her maybe 1 or 2 touches of too much time, and when she has it, she's going to put in the net. And so that was really cool. And then just upon doing a little bit of investigating, I want to give her this shout out because I went to her Instagram and I saw that she's also a musician. So she's a singer. And I think that's really important, as athletes to have other things going on. And a lot of people don't realize athletes are very multifaceted people. And in fact, we are. And so that's why when a lot of athletes leave the league, some of us struggle because that's all we've done is soccer. Like soccer is both our job and our hobby and our love and our passion. So what do you do when you don't have it, right? So I love to see these young athletes still cultivating other talents, while doing what they love. So yeah, I just wanted to give her that special shout out because I thought that was kind of interesting, but good game nonetheless. All first 3 goals or all 3 goals in the first half. And but then Wilco held them off in the second half. So not a single goal in the second half, which I found interesting. And I don't know what went on behind the scenes there. I know that their head coach was not at the game. He had to sit out this one because he was thrown out the previous game, Coach Reynaldo. And so I'm sure, I don't know if that played a role or what, or if they thought, hey, we're up 3-0, like let's maybe change our strategy, put somebody else in. That could have happened too. I know they have a lot of young players that are now playing on the first team from the academy just to give them a chance and to kind of gain that exposure. And they're doing exactly what we were just talking about of building. I mean, talk about a slow build, slow burn team. That's the Athenians. I mean, like I said, they had 5 years out of the UWS before they came into it. When they came into it, they were really strong. They had their network built, and then they had already started developing an academy. So they already have some great players coming through that are young. I mean, Ella Hammonds, is 14 years old. And there's a couple of others that are 14, 15 years old playing with the Athenians right now. So, very different team this season than we had last season, where we had a lot of, I think, I'm not going to say bigger players, but we had a lot of really strong players across the board, coming from great colleges across the board. And this year it's just a little bit different, and I love to see it. I love to see that they're giving their youth a chance because that's how you maintain the longevity of a team, right?
With Hammonds, it's a different story though, because Dad has her around an atmosphere. Leland Hammonds, who's the technical director there with Athenians. Look, he does a really good job, and his knowledge of the game, his knowledge of sports psychology and nutrition and everything else really is something that is to be marveled at. And what he's doing with that program and able to help his daughter see it, I think that's another thing, right? I am part of UWS too. My daughter will be at our trainings. She'll be at our matches. She's going to see how we go. And then as we progress, the idea is, hey, look, you can slide in and be able to play. Yeah, she's 5. I'm not forcing her to jumping into that, but she's seen it. She wants to be a part of what's growing. And I think with Hammonds, same concept. Be a part of what's growing. 14 years old, and you're able to kind of hold your own. Yeah, at some point, physicality and other things start to play a role, and you start to learn how to beat that, but you also learn how to adapt. And I think that's a big piece of it as well. So we'll see what happens there going forward. But Megan, what about you? What other match may have caught your eye in match day 2?
Well, I also just want to touch back on NC Broussard quickly, because that hat trick that she scored was the perfect hat trick too. It was left foot and ahead. So yeah, she's definitely a standout player, one to watch. 4 goals already this season. She scored in that Luxoria game as well. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more of her. Another game that caught my attention was also back up in the Penn New York division. It was FC Berlin versus Pittsburgh Hotspurs. And it was a 3-3 game. So I don't know what it is with me and these draws this week, but I'm certainly being drawn to them because that was a really, really high-scoring affair, entertaining, great goals. So we had Tegan Morrison open up the scoring with an individual goal where she just drove into the box from the right wing and just calmly slotted it past the goalkeeper. And then she did a very nice cartwheel backflip celebration, which I love. I should have got a clip of that to show everybody, but it was great. So FC Berlin then had a 1-goal advantage. And then Caitlin Kaufman hit an absolute beauty that curled into the top right corner. And I am officially nominating that for goal of the week right here, right now, Pittsburgh
Ooh.
Hotspur, because it was so nice and she was so casual about it. So we'll definitely have to get a clip. Watch out for that because I'm officially nominating it right now. So that made it 1-1 going into halftime. And then the next goal came just a few minutes into the second half as Morrison found herself driving into the box once more. This time the goalkeeper came out, but she got too much of Morrison's legs and she drew the foul. A penalty was awarded. Morrison stepped up. She took the penalty, really composed, slotted it home for her second of the day. And the Hotspurs once again responded because FC Buffalo failed to clear the ball from across. And a player called Kolkowski, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, she smashed it home though, and she made that 2-2. And then the dramatics continued right up to the final seconds because in the 89th minute, the Hotspurs took the lead again. A free kick was set into the box and it somehow managed to find the back of the net, and the goal was officially given as an own goal. And then FC Berlin responded with Morrison once again. She found herself through on goal with two defenders on her, and she just showed her class. She really stood out to me in this game. She got her hat trick. She slotted it in for her third of the day. And in 4 minutes of added time, both teams were like back and forth. Can we find a winner? It was a bit scrappy. You could see some tired legs. There was definitely room for someone to let one in, but both teams ended up holding on and it finished 3-3. So lots of goals up in that Penn New York division, but in competitive games, these high scoring 2-2, 3-3s, very competitive. It was a really good game.
I've got two matches. I'm sorry. I couldn't pick one. And one is because I text him and he says he's not talking to the media because he doesn't like the way he's portrayed in the media. And I'm going SC Austin Elite. 2-0 winners over the San Antonio Runners. Look, I have been very hard on Danny because, look, he's a buddy of mine, and I feel like I have to give him a bad time because if I don't, who will? But he says he's going to have a silence in the media. I invited him on this morning. So, Danny, if you're watching, you can jump on and talk about the hot start that is FC Austin Elite.
Yes, look, Danny, we would love to have you.
And so FC Austin Elite, 6 points, 2 wins out of 2 matches, 3-goal differential. They've not conceded yet. And I think this is the difference between last year and this year for them. Last year, they started off really bad. And in bad, I mean they started off 0-2 and 0. Now they've turned that corner. They've got some new legs in there. They've got a new voice that's kind of getting them going. And this team's playing really well. They not only are they playing well, they're physical. And again, you play against San Antonio Athenians, who last year they were very finesse. They were very much get wide, play through. This year, that conference doesn't have Lone Star Republic. Luxoria's in there. The Runners are new. Wilco, which is a very solid team. CTX Hornets, which is another solid team. But I think FC Austin Elite has finally figured out and dialed in, and they understand what the idea is, what the mission is, the assignment. And look, the way they're playing right now, if they can continue to be able to pull out points from every match and not concede and not have those letdown moments that at times can hurt them last year, I think they're one to watch and keep an eye on, especially coming out of that Southwest division. There's a lot that's there. If they can pull it out, look, Matchday 3, there's a lot that can happen between now and July. But for them, the big key is consistency. And I think that's the word, the buzzword down there in Austin is consistency. Okay, good. Now you got to stay consistent with winning and not conceding. So we'll see what happens.
That actually brings up my game to watch perfectly because I feel, FC Austin Elite is about to take on the Athenians tonight. And so I think that's going to really put both of these really strong teams to the test. But I mean, FC Austin Elite has already made a huge name for themselves. They're definitely the team to beat. I think even over Luxoria, and Luxoria has some really solid players. And just to add to the drama, you also have Melissa Mior, who was a previous San Antonio Athenian, now playing as a starter for FC Austin Elite. So I think it would be really interesting to see what a player like that does, who went from, a place of, of being a sub player or just trying to really find her place on the Athenians to being this really like superstar center midi for FC Austin Elite. And I'm loving this success story. Like I'm like, don't even call it a dark horse, because she's not. She's a fantastic player. And I'm just really excited to see what she's able to do now against her old team. I think it's gonna be really good. We'll have to see.
Megan, is it too early to call this a must-win game for the Athenians?
I don't think so. I think it is a must-win game for them. I think both in the standings in terms of the points, but also mentally as well. I think that this FC Austin Elite versus San Antonio Athenians is kind of like a rematch with a difference from last year, because I don't think FC Austin Elite ever got the ball rolling how we really know that they had the potential to. They are so strong and they were able to compete in the middle of the park, and then they kind of didn't have that final piece in the final third, and they also had like a bit of a tendency to concede as well last season, and they've tuned those up this year. They're looking very solid in every single position. And so I think it's going to be a really big test for the Athenians. And I'm going to go out and say, I think FC Austin Elite are going to win this one tonight.
Ooh.
I would have to agree.
Oh, Katie, no.
I do too. I love my Athenians. Don't get me wrong. I do. But based on the track record, also, it is an I-35 derby. Once again, here we are. So anything can happen in the derbies. But I have this gut feeling that FC Austin Elite has something to prove, a little more so maybe than the Athenians. I just am speaking based on facts rather than emotion, right?
It's interesting because you say FC Austin Elite have like something to prove, which I agree, but I also feel like you've got the Athenians with something to prove in the sense that they were in the national champion, like went to the Final Four last year.
Right.
And then, they weren't able to win, but, they're one of those top 4 teams that everybody's looking at going into this season, but they haven't started quite as well as maybe you would expect. Same with CT Fusion as well. Like, anything can happen and these teams are great, but you almost, you have this outlook that, one of those top 4 teams are just going to come in and win 3-0 every game. Like, they're clearly, one of those top teams and they'll be in the top 4 again, but it's changing. And other teams are coming through and they're super competitive. And so I feel both teams have something to prove. But yeah,
they definitely do. No doubt. And I feel like the Athenians are also really good at getting points on the board, as we saw with Enzi Brassard, this last game. And I think that she probably has a target on her back now because they know that she's one of those strikers to watch, right? But if you just look at the performance against LSR, Athenians lost 3-2 to, excuse me, LXR, woo! Bad slip there. Luxoria. They lost 3-2 to Luxoria. FC Austin Elite won 2-1 to Luxoria. And in both cases, both teams put 2 points on the board. And it was just up to Luxoria to put more or less on the board after that, right? So it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a really close game. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but we'll see. We'll see.
The other match that had my attention was the defending national champions. I wanted to see what that was all about this year, and I'm going to be more diligent on paying attention to them after what I saw in that national championship weekend. But they came out firing. Yeah, Congo comes off playing the night before, and you can see the fatigue a little bit. I'm not going to say that it wasn't there, but it was there. But look, when you play a night before, I would have rather seen Congo play Blue Heat on Friday as opposed to LASC and then play LASC. But look, they are right on form. That the way Ludi has them set up and the way they're playing. Yeah, they got new goaltender. Hillary Beale is not there, but the goaltender wasn't needed much in this matchup. Iris Rabot, who is in the middle of the park. Last year, MVP caliber player, just distributing 2 goals or 2 assists and a goal in this match, really just helping pull the strings. The Pirlo of Blue Heat could be the idea. And in this match, yes, they didn't score, but the younger Ballard and the Thompson sisters, dangerous, very dangerous. And so we're going to continue to see that as they play Congo again today, actually this time in Utah, but we'll get more into that matchup in a little bit. But hey, we are in match week 3, everybody, here in the UWS. Some interesting matchups. Katie just mentioned the derby of what is I-36 is what it is in Texas.
I-35.
I-35. I was close. I was a number off. The I-35 derby of Athenians and FC Austin Elite. That should be a good matchup. But Mega, what matchup has you ready for today?
So I'm going to take it back over to that Heartland division. We've got Arkansas Wolves versus FC Wichita. This game's kicking off at 4 o'clock this afternoon at Lewis Stadium in Arkansas. So Arkansas Wolves welcoming top of the league FC Wichita. And FC Wichita have really had a fantastic start to the season. Their opening game was a 3-0 win against Side FC. And then the teams played 6 days later, and FC Wichita grinded out a 2-1 win. So it was much closer the second time round. Really interesting that they would play the same team back to back. But I thought it was really interesting and cool to see how FC Wichita handled both those games, because they went out in the first game really dominated 3-0. And then in that second game, it was much closer. They really had to, grind out a win. It was a lot more physical, a lot more mental test to try and beat this team 6 days later, where you kind of cruise to a victory. And this time, Side FC gave them a much tougher battle. And then Arkansas Wolves, they've played just 1 game so far against Sporting Nebraska. And again, another close battle. They just lost by 1 goal, 1-0. So I think that Arkansas Wolves are going to come out and I really want to compete with this FC Wichita team. You know, if they can go out tonight and get that victory, opens things up so much in this conference and would really make a statement for this newer team to the UWS. But it's the FC Wichita side that has really drawn me to this matchup to preview it and to watch it this afternoon, because they have a really solid roster. And I think they were kind of sliding under the radar last year. The Central Conference was very small, and Central Conference has kind of been blown wide open with this new divisions that we've got. And they've got a solid roster. In week 1, their defender, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but Sulgi Lee was named Defensive Player of the Week. She led her backline to a clean sheet as well as contributing an assist. So they've got a lot of depth. They've got players who are coming from lots of different schools, but who seem to have come together and gelled really well. So the game is going to be streamed. And if you're in Benton, make sure you can go, because they've got food trucks at the game, as well as Diamond Beer Brewing Company, who'll be providing the drinks. So, I mean, I love that atmosphere that Arkansas Wolves are creating. Food trucks and a brewing company is pretty awesome. So if you are in the area, make sure you check it out.
Don't tempt me with a good time. I think that's a good matchup, you know, home of Walmart in Benton, Arkansas. But we'll see. We'll see. I think if you look at the 2 Arkansas teams, they both have losses. But again, there's always an opportunity to turn the tables, and it is still young in the season. Yeah, there are must-win games for some teams, but also there's ways to kind of chip at an opportunity. And having 3 conferences or 3 divisions, I should say, in the Central Conference, really livens things up with Great Lakes, the Heartland, and the Midwest. So we'll see what happens as everything unfolds, because you do have 17 teams in that conference to vie for a couple playoff spots. So it will be interesting to see once we get further on in the season and who's going to represent that conference in the playoffs. So we'll see. Katie, you mentioned the before mentioned derby. Was there another match that might have your eye for this weekend, or was that the one that you're focused on because this is it?
Yeah, that's the one that I'm mostly focused on. It's taking up a lot of my attention at the moment. I'm gonna try to make the game tonight as well. So hopefully
You
I
better
can
wear
be
a
there and
mask.
give you a first hand count. give you a firsthand count of what goes down, the energy at the field. I think there's going to be a lot of people out there just because everybody knows, like, it's two local teams. And as we saw with our USL team, San Antonio FC versus the MLS team, Austin FC, that really caused a stir across the city. So I know it's going to probably be very similar for the San Antonio Athenians tonight. So
yes,
I'll
Katie,
be out
I would
there and
love
hopefully
some. Yes, I would love some pitch side coverage from you on your Instagram. That would
Yeah.
be so much fun.
Yeah. Add to
Just
the
got a
mix,
message from
right?
Harry, said you shouldn't show up. He's got a voodoo doll ready for you.
Oh no! Get out of here, Harry.
We're going
Jesus.
voodoo. No, he didn't say that,
I'm
but now it's in his
No.
brain. He's like, oh, okay, we're gonna have a
Oh,
Katie voodoo doll.
Oh my gosh, how rude.
No,
You
it's
have
all
to take
good.
Harry out while I'm out there. I'm just kidding.
Hey, so listen, this is unique. Impact FC Calgary Foothills are gonna tee off tonight in Alberta at the Real Recreational Park Stadium. This last year, they played a lot against one another, and this year is no different. The only difference is no Troy Flannery. So Troy Flannery, if you recall, has stepped away from Impact. He was previously the head coach at Calgary. This is going to be the first year of UWS where there is no Troy Flannery. At least for a year is what the rumor might be, but we'll see. New coach in Impact, new opportunity, but hey, two squads loaded with a lot of international talent from Canada. They're going to go head-to-head today with Impact looking to make a statement against Calgary, who claimed the Western Conference title in 2018 and 2019. So they've had a little bit of a hiatus in terms of what they're doing. And they've reloaded. Both teams have reloaded, but I think Calgary is ready to make a step and potentially, I'm just going to say potentially, challenge SC Blue Heat for the Western Conference. And again, I'm paying a lot of attention to this conference. We did not do our due diligence and pay much attention to them last year because they only played 5-6 games, and even those were kind of just against one another. So you didn't really see the opportunity or how good they were until they got to that national championship. And it just tells you what this conference is all about, because there was some good matches, and who knows, maybe this year we see even better matches with the addition of FC Arizona, as well as the two Canadian teams playing more often here in the States. So we'll see. But what do you guys think? What the Western Conference is shaping up? If you look at it, this is going to be the opening night for Impact. It's going to be the opening night for Impact and Foothills. FC Arizona will play. I think they play tomorrow against Congo, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot to be played upon, lots to get ready for. Yes, they play Congo tomorrow. Or no, they played last night.
Last night, but I don't think we have a score in from that game yet.
We do not. I have not seen that. My fault. Bad journalism. Not ready for it. But is there any other matchups that have you guys have you ready for soccer on this hashtag Soccer Saturday and Summer of Soccer in UWS?
Well, I'm looking into the Southeast Division, and I am excited to see FC Birmingham versus Atlanta Fire, because FC Birmingham will get to play their first UWS match in front of their home supporters, and that's a really big moment for this Alabama team. I think that they're going to have a really great turnout, so I'm excited for that. And then it's also a debut for Atlanta Fire. They're the second team from Atlanta to join the UWS, and so this will be the first time that we get to really see this Atlanta Fire team. So I think that's going to be a really awesome matchup, and with it being two debutants, it should be a closer game for FC Birmingham. Hopefully, they've had time to recover from their first game, and so yeah, I think this should be a really good one. At 6 p.m. kickoff on Sunday.
And I did get a score report from FC Arizona. The score line yesterday out of Utah, 4-0 FC Arizona. So the debutantes of the Western Conference and FC Arizona walking away with a 4-0 win. So we'll see what happens. It's impressive. But remember, they've played 3 games in 6 days, 7 days. That's a lot of could be tired legs that are showing there. But we'll see what happens tonight. FC Arizona, though, with the 4-0 win last night in Utah.
Congo's schedule does not set them up for success.
No, and it didn't either last year. Remember, last year they were playing a lot of back-to-backs, and it wasn't helping them to be as good as they are, because again, you play in certain, especially during the summer when you're playing in Utah where it can get really warm, California where, it's a sneaky heat when you're playing down in LA. So there's a lot going on there as it relates to kind of the elements that you're playing in.
Yes, but let's not take it away from SC Arizona, because I've been really excited to see how they do coming into the UWS, and it's a good statement, of 4-0 win to start off. So they're definitely going to be a team to watch, and I'm looking forward to them when they get to play SC Blue Heat, because that's the one that's going to be big.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else to add, or anybody to talk about anything that's got you fired up for today?
More goals. We love the goals. Set pieces. I'm loving them. We've had lots of penalties, a good amount of free kicks, a good amount of corners being scored on. So love to see those. What people do behind the scenes on the training ground is always fun to see when we can see teams get creative with fun, different set pieces. So if you see anything, send them my way. Celebrations. I love a backflip. If you see one, tag me.
Katie?
That'd be great. Oh, no, nothing. I mean, same old, the I-35 Derby. That's what I'm really looking forward to. And kind of like Megan said, some great goals. I would like to see us kind of bring back that whole goal of the week, piece and segment of the show. And, so I'll be keeping my eyes peeled as well for this coming week to see some of the great shots I see taken, or great saves as well, because it's, it's all in the same, right?
It is all in the same. A good save is just as good as a good goal.
Right.
Very true.
All right. Well, hey, all games are available via 11 starting this afternoon, so make sure you check them out. All games are going to be live. They're going to be televised. They're going to be ready to go. We're excited for the summer of soccer here in the UWS. Also, UWS 2 action. We have some games that have been going on, and so I don't want to leave them out. Last year, we did not spend a whole lot of time talking about them, but I do want to spend just a few minutes talking about just the standings as it relates and what we see. KC Courage has a 2 side. They are 1-1, 1 win, 1 tie. Some of the other clubs that are here, Buffalo has another team. FC Buffalo has a team that's going to be playing this year. And so it's going to be really exciting. Most of that league hasn't had much reporting as it relates to the side, and we haven't talked a whole lot. So hopefully we can start getting some coverage. I know Lancaster Inferno has done a really good job of promoting their League 2 team on their social media and Instagram. You can check them out, Lank Inferno. But yeah, we want to make sure we plug those as well, because it's really important for those kids to, I say kids because I'm old now, but those ladies and those athletes to have an opportunity to play, to see if they can be promoted to the first team, but also promote their own side. So if you look at Sunflower, if you look at some of these other teams that have an opportunity to be really, really cool. So I know Side FC has 2 teams in the Central Conference of League 2.
Yeah, definitely. Get involved. Tag us in everything that you see. Tweet us. The more interactions that we get on social media, the better coverage we'll be able to give. And we love when people get involved. If you want to be on the show, you want to be on Our Cup of Tea, whatever it is, we want to make it happen. We want to give you guys the coverage. We want to talk all things soccer, UWS, UWS 2. So yeah, just get involved.
And then Megan and I will also be back probably Tuesday or Thursday with the recap show. We missed this week because of my kids' trainings, and Megan actually training too. The season's starting for UWS for you guys. So wish you the best of luck, Megan. You graduate and now you're back into soccer full time. It's awesome. Katie, you're going to be live tonight, maybe from the Athenians match. And so
we'll have to see. I'm in Houston at the moment visiting my sister. She had back surgery, which is hence the craft room and the computer over here.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but no, it's great spot actually.
Next time you're there, you got to put the logo for UWS on the screen, and that way you have the UWS behind you.
I know. I missed opportunity. What do you know?
Dang, it's all right.
Okay, well, I'm really hoping to get back there. I also have to, create some time to watch the Champions League final. So I'm trying to figure out how to make all of that happen and get back to San Antonio.
3 p.m. Pacific or 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Get your popcorn ready. It's gonna be a good one to watch.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, hey, until next Saturday for the UWS League 2, we say cheers and have fun on this hashtag Soccer Saturday during the Summer of Soccer in UWS. Cheers, everyone. Have a good rest of the day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I'm a part of UWS because of the opportunity it provides women.
Because it provided me the competition and exposure I needed to get to where I am today.
Because financial transparency is important to me.
Because at its core and within its leadership, it is truly dedicated to the promotion of the women's game.
Because of the competitive pathway it provides female players and coaches.
Because it expands the pathway of our club and offers more opportunities for players to develop.
Because I too support women in sports.
Because of the people. I love competing at a high level with some awesome teammates and getting to compete against people around the country.
Because it provides female athletes with a much needed platform to remain in the game in a professional setting.
Because it's the best summer league in the whole country. There's no question about it.
Because of a commitment to diversity for the players, coaches, and administrators of the UWS.
Because I like the opportunity to compete at such a high level and the advancement of the women's game.
I am a part of UWS because I believe in its vision and its leadership.